What's up guys, Rob Optimal Bodies. Now if you've been following my recent videos, I've been going into detail about a high fat, low carbohydrate diet for fat loss, health, muscle building, maintenance depending on your goals. I did a 3-part series on a nice easy program that allows frequent periods of eating your favourite foods, because I don't think they should be taken out for the rest of your life. Like, we're only here once, so you might as well enjoy those type of foods and be able to fit them into a social situation. So if you want to go back and look at those videos on foods you can have in the house, a way of using like treats and bad foods, if you will, and sugary treats, etc., to your advantage, then go back and have a look at those. And you may have been doing that. You may have started this 7 to 10 day period, usually about 10 days to be safe, of low carbohydrates to kickstart your body into getting used to running off fats and ketones, which are made from fats. So your liver will take fats up and make ketones to help run your brain and nervous system. Actually really good fuel for your heart, your diaphragm and your nervous system, your brain. So your body runs really efficiently off that. But now that this is the purpose of this video, I've had a few questions, and also from previous clients and myself, family members and things that have gone on these sort of diets. You do experience some sort of changes, whether it's in how you feel or how you perform in the gym, those sort of things, or certain symptoms. And for the uninitiated, or if you're not fully aware of what these symptoms are caused by, then it may force you to quit the diet sooner than you should. So I'm here to say what's to be expected and what's completely normal when switching from all your life being on carbohydrates and all of a sudden you're dropping carbohydrates out of your diet and eating fat and protein mostly, and then you're putting carbs back in periodically. So it's important to know what to expect, and then also some things you can actually deal with there and then, some things you just have to basically wait, which we'll go into detail. So we'll go to the trusty whiteboard as we can keep a check of what we've been doing. So I've made a list of problems and possible solutions when on a low carb, high fat diet. So what to expect and what we can do if there is something possible to do. So these are main things that I've researched and then from client feedback that they've told me. So number one always seems to be cravings, and that's completely normal. So mainly craving carbohydrates, and it's because your body's been running off that for a long period of time. It's used to that sort of a fuel source, and you get this crossover point where ketone build-up needs a few days to occur when you drop carbs out of the diet. So you have no carbs, and then your body will deplete the ones that are stored in your system, so your liver and your muscle glycogen. So as they start to drop down, your body has to then upregulate ketones, and there's sort of a crossover point where you've got low carbs but your ketone production's a bit low as well, so you not need time to adapt. So the main solution for that for me is just to wait, but important for when you are waiting, to eat plenty of fat. So don't overeat. If you go back to previous videos, you'll see sort of recommendations, but you need a fuel source to run off if your body's, especially if your body's a bit lagging with this ketone production. So make sure you're keeping your fats high, not just cutting carbs out. You need a fuel to replace them. You will be running off body fat as well, but eating some decent fat, dietary fat in your diet is going to really help it'll help get rid of those cravings, because your body loves having fat. So in essence, carbohydrate cravings can be your body craving fat because it wants the carbs to turn into fat. So if you put your fats up, that can often help, but just basically manning out a 7 to 10 day period, getting over that hump, and then as I'll go on to later, you'll get actually increased energy levels and decreased cravings. Breath. Now, some people report a change in breath. That might be bad, might be nice. Whether you like it or not, then there can be some solutions, and it's simple as getting some sugar-free mints or sugar-free chewing gum. Not overdoing them, but just using them as you need if you feel like you don't like changing breath, whether it's good or bad. And that's usually can be from a ketone production. So like ketones, the waste product can come out in your breath. So don't worry about that, and you can just get some sugar-free mints and keep your carbs low without having to get sugar in your diet to counteract this. Now, constipation, often something not one to be spoke about, but it is a big part of health. If you're not having regular bowel movements, there's something probably wrong in your system, and you shouldn't just put up with that. So, and that you might not have had that before, but now you've switched to a low carb diet, you can start to have constipation. And the main reason is you've dropped your fibre content, which you get from carbohydrates. So we need to put it back up, but get it from vegetables and salad. So it's important once you're cutting your carbs down, if you do get constipation symptoms, then get some like leafy green dark vegetables or some sort of salad foods. That'll help things pass through and increase your fibre content because you've took them out with the carbs, but it won't increase the sugar. So mental lethargy. Now, and that's mainly from the first point because of this crossover point where your body's getting used to ketone production. You probably haven't run off ketones since infancy. For most of us, we've always had carbs in our diet, so we haven't had a chance to build up this ketone production. So it's important to let that happen. So again, waiting it out, knowing that it's normal and not worrying about it is the main thing. But a nice quick fix that I've found that really helps get over that crossover point is coconut oil, and that's mainly because it contains MCTs, which we spoke of before, this medium chain triglyceride. And when coconut oil is a special fats into your system very quickly, so that increases ketone production quicker. So the more frequent you're exposed to ketones, the more your body has to quickly adapt to be able to run off them. So it can help that crossover period happen a lot faster. So brilliant. So you get a bit more increase in energy and you don't feel as sluggish. But if you do, don't worry about it too much. Okay, headaches. Now, glucose coming out your system, so sugars, carbs, it can have a diuretic effect, so it can pull water out with it, so you can experience a bit of dehydration. So obviously the simple thing of that is keep an eye on your thirst, keep some water with you all the times. Don't just neck water for the sake of it, but you might have to slightly increase it, and then you can trial and error. If you're getting headache symptoms, then you drink a glass of water, and half an hour later it goes, and you know it might have been a slight dehydration. And also you can put a little bit of salt, some natural sea salt on your food, see if that helps as well. A lack of salt can also cause these headache symptoms, as that can be pulled out of the system with the water, so that can help. Also cramps or sort of like a restless leg sort of feeling, that can occur. Some people think it's from dehydration, but further looking into research, I sort of think that it's more of a magnesium problem. So if you're taking foods out your diet, perhaps you're taking that nutrient out your diet as well, and these important minerals. So that can be because you've took the carbs out. That could have been in some of the carbs you've been eating, or it can be found in a lot of fruit and grains. So we don't want to put them back in for obvious reasons, but we do want the magnesium to prevent cramps. So nuts, fish, leafy greens, avocados, or just if you want to take a multivitamin or a magnesium supplement, you can look into recommended daily allowances for how much you should be taking. But these sort of foods should help offset that, because we don't want cramps for obvious reasons. It's not very comfortable. And also, the last problem could be a decrease in your mood. Now, it's really common and expected if you're cutting something out of your diet. It can have a psychological effect that you're not allowed these foods that might be around you. People might eat them around you, they might be in the house. So it's common to be a bit down, and that could be psychological, or it can be because you get a decrease in serotonin levels. Carbohydrates and insulin spikes are well known for spiking serotonin, which makes us feel good. So basically, wait for your carbs. So when you have this carb night, which if you go back to previous videos you'll see, you get a nice spike in serotonin, and depending on the person it can last for hours, days, who knows. So you can experiment with that and see how you start to feel. And it can be a good indicator that you're probably ready for some carbohydrates, because if you're starting to get moody, as you get leaner, you might start to get moody quicker towards the end of the week as you're going longer without carbs, and then that can be a sign that you might need carbohydrates more often. If you think that's you, then either do some research into it, play around with it, or you can message me or the team and see if we can help with that. So again, some of these are just waiting it out. So your mood can actually increase once your body gets a decent fuel source on board from the ketones, because you can get moody just because your brain doesn't feel like it hasn't got an energy source. So that can be something that can be increased. So just keep an eye on how your body's adapting day after day. So all of a sudden you might feel really bad, but then the next couple of days you get an absolute change and you're increasing energy levels, and that's a good sign that your body's adapted. So just go with it and trust that you are going to adapt. And then these handy little tips, if you put a few of these in to counteract some of the problems you occur, then it can just help that transfer and that crossover point and experience, and just know it's a normal experience. Other expectations, these are more of a positive role. Now you're going to get but I get a lot of report of decrease in bloating, and that's mainly because I think because you're eating less overall, because fat's very satiating, so you're not as much food, which has to go somewhere, so it can cause this stomach distension. Now, you also get a decrease in water retention. So as carbs are pulled out of the diet, water's pulled with it. So, and that's great because that's going to decrease the bloating as well. It can make you look leaner in areas and things, so you get like this diuretic effect. You drop in water, and then because of that, you get a big decrease in weight. I'd say the first 10 days you get about 60% of the weight you lose is probably going to be stored carbs and water. So don't expect to lose that much weight every week, because once the carbs are out and the water's out, you're not going to drop all that again every time. But you do get a positive in fat loss, which I reckon is the other 40%, as it seems to be, of the actual weight you lose. So you're not just losing water. Some people might say that, oh, that's the only weight you've lost. Fat burning was very high, and we're going to keep it high by spiking insulin and carbohydrate loads periodically, as we've spoke of before. A positive, increased energy after 7 to 10 days of letting this adapt and this crossover point of using ketones and fat for fuel. So you might find the first time in your life you haven't felt really groggy, you haven't had these crashes because you're not getting sugar crashes, sugar's not going up and down all day. You're letting the body control it itself, and the body's actually really better at controlling blood sugar itself without actually eating carbohydrates. So the body can perfectly make its own carbohydrates from protein, amino acids that you're eating, and also from the glycerol component of the triglyceride that's coming out your fat. So basically, as you're burning fat, your body can happily monitor its blood glucose levels, which only need to be about 4 grams at any one point. So that just shows how much eating sugar can cause it to go really high above these naturally wanted levels, and the body has to drop it back down to compensate. So you should feel nice and steady, nice clear head, but let this 7 to 10 day period take it into account and let it set in. And I think the biggest positive, as we said, is fat loss, because you're giving access to that body fat, you're keeping insulin levels low, you're keeping carbohydrates out of the system for quite a long period of time, spiking them periodically. And also, that I found, you get a reported increase in gym strength. So, and this is mainly because your body becomes more sensitive to adrenaline. When you go low carbohydrate and you go in the gym with low insulin levels, adrenaline is released faster. It's more, your body's and your muscle is more sensitive to it, so it can release energy quicker, and you get more of a release, it's shown as well. So you might think, oh, I'm having a carbs, I can't have any energy on board. People actually report increasing strength even though they're going on a low carb diet. So that's a great positive. So thanks for listening. This is Rob at Optimal Bodies, sponsored by Damn Fitness. Check them out at damnfitness.com. Some decent gym clothing there. Quote Rob10, get 10% off. And please like and share my page. Invite friends if you think they'll benefit from this information. And if you think you're not part of this 90%, which I think this diet is very applicable for, you're a high intensity athlete, or you're doing some sort of sport, or you're really lean, or you're looking to build a lot of muscle and you're not too bothered about losing body fat, then other diets and little tweaks can be made on this diet, or you can be on a completely different program. Give us a message and we can sort something out for you. Okay, thanks for listening, guys. Cheers.